And we are live on the air.
Hey, welcome to Suzilla. Susie and Matt here at Susie Health Solutions, your full-service enrollment center in Wenatchee, Washington. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Susie.
Welcome to the last day of March.
Mm-hmm. Made it through March. Woo.
We did make it through. Tomorrow is April Fool's Day.
Oh, news.
Oh, news. What does that mean? Oh, news. Are you going to fool me?
I haven't in decades, so why am I going to start now?
Why start now? Yeah.
Well, I might be getting out of that comfort bubble.
Oh, is that a comfort bubble or is it my comfort bubble?
Hard to say, because it's one of those things that's it's easy to find yourself in.
Oh, now the comfort bubble could also be described as a rut.
Could be described as a rut. It could be.
I've been in a rut.
It could be that you're so tired, you drag yourself on home, you eat a bunch of junk food, plop yourself in front of the TV with your pants off.
That's not a comfort bubble.
That is for some people.
If you're so tired because you hate your life, then that's not comfortable.
Yeah, but if it's
the dragging yourself home, taking your pants off, and eating food and watching TV, that's comforting yourself after a bad day.
Correct, and that is the comfort bubble.
Okay, I get where you're going.
You're not dealing with having to fight people.
Yeah.
Because some people don't like to fight, don't like to, because there's a lot of people out there that will tell you, no, you can't do that, you can't do this. And some people take that to heart.
They get told no too many times and they just start thinking they can't do anything.
Yeah. It's when there are kind of two different ways to look at no's.
Okay.
No means no. It really depends.
Okay, it's contextual, is what you're saying.
It is very contextual, and some people don't want to do the thought process.
Okay. When you're dealing with consent, that's one thing.
That's one thing.
That's not what we're talking about.
That's what we're not talking about. We're talking about, hey, no, that line is closed. You got to go to this other line.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, no, you got to wear shoes in the store. Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, no, you got to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Some people don't like being told that. They're like, well, I'm an adult. I'm, I've got the freedom to do what I want.
Mm-hmm. Which is actually a really childish attitude sometimes.
It is. However, some people see that as hostile. Not getting what they want.
Not getting what they want.
They're not feeding that id, if you want to go all Freudian.
Freudian. Well, the thing is, you have to be told no when you're growing up. Otherwise, you do think that the world owes you a living.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand that sometimes the answer is, in fact, no. Sometimes even with, that's one thing that I learned. Someone told me early on when I was, working through my religious philosophical stage, because everyone goes through that, trying to figure out where they are in the universe.
Yeah.
Is someone said one time, God answers all prayers, and sometimes the answer is no. Even God says no. Oh, it made you think. You've heard that.
No, I have not.
You've never heard that?
No.
Yeah.
I also kind of grew up with the don't pray for things.
Yes, but it's not a thing. It's, yes. But there are people who, there are people who stand there and they pray that their football team will win.
Yeah, that's a thing. No.
Yeah, and that's again, but that's all that's kind of flies into where I'm talking about. Yeah. Sometimes the answer is no. Please, God, don't let my cat die. No, it's time for your cat to die.
It's meant to be. It's meant to be.
Yes, and some people don't understand that. Of course, some people also think of God as a gumball machine.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a certain level of, going out in the world, it's aggressive, it's mean, it beats you up.
Yeah.
And you need to come home and in a safe bubble.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to sometimes, what we're talking about today is expanding or challenging your bubble.
Yes, and that is one of those things. 'Cause I actually had a friend this last week that apologized because sh they haven't been out of their comfort bubble
Mhm.
because of COVID, and they plan they plan on being trying a little bit harder.
Mhm.
Because that's a reasonable response. Because if you were following protocol, if you've got immunocompromised, if you were just looking at some of those hard numbers, that's very reasonable.
Mhm. It was also used as an excuse by people who just didn't want to.
Well, it was, yeah. There's that certain level of what
Introverts, yes.
introverts.
And people who are introverted looked at this and said, I'm already doing this, big deal. I personally didn't shake up my world a lot. If anyone's going to shake my bubble, it's going to be you.
Well, yeah, but
and that's not a bad
there
thing.
are limits to what I can do.
Oh, I understand that.
Because me as a big explorer of the world, it gets tiring to drag everyone along with you.
Yes.
And that's one of my biggest complaints is dragging everyone out of the comfort bubble. Let's try something new, people.
Yeah. And then what I try to do is to, although I might not initiate the idea, I will go along relatively easily. At least I try to. I don't make it difficult for you to make. I don't make it so you have to drag me along. I just have to, I just try to make it easier for you to impulse me. I don't. I say okay, and let's go.
Yeah.
A good example is last weekend. That we went to the
talking Sage.
Went to the Sage event. They had their things were good. They had a money fundraiser.
Yeah.
For the there's what does Sage stand for?
I'm not sure what Sage stands for, but they are a victim advocate group.
Yeah, and they do
a lot of battered women.
Yeah, it's really kind of awesome, actually.
They've been in Central Washington for
I'm gonna look it up.
Like almost forever.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. It's good and sad at the same time. But yeah, it's a great group of folks that are helping people. But they had a big fundraiser, and it was the first one in 2 years.
Yes, I think it's advocacy.
Yeah, they do some advocacy.
I'm gonna have to look. That's what I'm doing. I'm not ignoring you. I'm looking up at that.
Yeah, because I've mentioned her clinging to the phone during these things a couple times.
I got over it.
And she's back.
But you said I could do if I was looking for something, and that's what I'm doing. There we go. Found him.
So yeah, it's one of those things. It's this weird push to come out and say everything's normal. It's the I had to look last week. It's like, what's the death rate? It was over 1,000.
Yeah.
In the United States, being died of COVID. There were some other numbers that were really kind of surprising and shocking at the same time.
I don't know what it stands for. I have some advocacy, safety advocacy.
But a sec here. Where is?
Found the site.
Okay. One of the things that when I say, when you look at the numbers, it's going to January 2022. All right. The second leading cause of death between 25 to 44-year-olds was COVID.
Right.
This is behind accidents.
That's not good.
It's the fourth leading cause of death between 5 and 24-year-olds.
Jesus.
So when someone says that, oh no, it doesn't. Yeah, it is a major thing. It was the number one cause of death from the 45 to 84-year-olds.
It's a lot of death.
So we've got, it's still going on.
It's still there. It's still happening. I mean, it's cooling down.
But that's one of those important things that when I say, yeah, if you paid attention to the numbers, yeah, you're rightfully a little bit hesitant. And I actually had it was a picture from March of last year. It was gonna be 2 years ago, and it was Godzilla tearing up the city, and it's like, don't let them fool you. People are going to try to downplay this. 4,000 have died, and that was COVID 2 years ago.
Gee whiz.
We're looking, we're pushing over 1 million dead. And yeah, there are still people that are still trying to downplay. Oh, yeah, it's no big deal. It's like, yeah, it is a big deal. And I am one of those firm believers that, hey, you know what? Oh, we don't have backup, Susie and I.
No, we talked about this. We don't.
Yeah.
So we have to stay safe.
But it's one of those things is being able to reach out. And it's like, yeah, we followed mask protocols. Yeah, we definitely got our vaccination because, at the end of the day, there was no one else to haul our kid to school. There was so that's one of those very realistic moments. It's like,
and that's one of the reasons why we kept our bubble close. And then now that things are cooling down, we're expanding our bubble again. We went to a charity event last weekend, and Matt, what if it was just me? I might have said, "Oh, that's nice. Here, have a couple of dollars," and not gone. Matt said, "You want to go to this?" It took me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But I did say, "Sure."
Yeah.
I didn't fight you on it. And so that's you teaching me how to stretch my bubble.
That's one of those things. It's you can't be a member of community if you stay at home.
Now, see, there's people that would argue that you can because of the internet.
Yeah, you're not. Community is one of those, good, bad, ugly situations.
Oh yeah.
You can. A good example was last night. You were talking about, those poor snakes.
Oh yeah.
And you immediately got hit with a PETA ad on Facebook.
I know, about snakes. That was so bizarre.
But that's a really good example of how siloed we are with the internet. And most people don't realize it. We as marketers, because we have to market our business.
They're so directed.
We're pretty savvy, but still seeing that snake on Facebook was pretty incredible. The rate, because we're talking within minutes.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, it was bizarre. In case you're wondering, we were watching with Jackass 3.
Yes.
And there was a point where they threw a bunch of snakes into a pit and scared one of their guys.
Yeah.
And the vet's like, they just took a big bin and dumped him down about 7 feet. And it's like, dude, that's not nice for the snakes. And of course, and then I get a PETA ad on my Facebook, and I've never reached out, had any kind of animal advocacy on my Facebook personally before about snakeskin accessories, boots and bags and stuff.
Yeah, but like I said, there are some people that are unaware of that intrusion into their bubble.
Oh yeah,
and then there are others that have rejected it and was like, no. And I've known people who've laid off Facebook.
No, because of stuff like that.
Because of stuff like
that.
But
it's not just Facebook.
Oh,
if
no.
you're on any social, if you're on anywhere, it doesn't not even
Google. Just using Google will get you there. Just
having a freaking smartphone, okay? Forget it. You're not. There's no such thing as true privacy anymore.
Yeah, it's the minute you put this thing in anything into motion, and just by your search histories, and it's really incredible because we talk about, okay, what's a clean search? No, I know. Marketers, we talk about, do a clean search, have a completely set up different wipe device, and see where your business shows up. And it's really telling these days, and that's part of that whole comfort bubble. But that leads to the illusion.
Yes. Well, that's one of the problems we've run into, the non-clean search. If I were to Google health insurance on my devices, Susie Health Solutions is going to come up number one.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a biased search. It's a dirty search.
Yeah.
Whereas if somebody I'd never met before searched, they might come up with a different, they would have a different view than I have. So that's essentially a clean search.
Yeah.
And those are hard those take effort to do from your own IP.
Yes. And that's something you got to be aware of is some of it's, some of that safety bubble is your mind has to create it.
Yes. And that's true. It is a psychological protection because you don't really want to consciously know how much people are aware of you. First time I really became aware of the internet, the social media, the internet invasion, I guess, is sometimes if I'm watching a movie and I will go on to IMDb and look up the movie because I'm curious about a statistic or an actor, and the first clip that's on the screen is the scene I was just watching.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Well, I the one of the first things that you pointed out that is invasive on your bubble and you really hated it was OnStar.
Yeah, that's true. And that was one of the first ones. It's like when the OnStar car tool is because, okay, it's going to track it's going to track your movements in your car. Well, in ostensibly to say, oh, this is how we can help you if there's a breakdown, if you have an accident. Well, that's great, but do they really need to know how many times I go through the McDonald's drive-through in a week? Is that going to go back to my insurance company? Is it gonna tell on me if I apply for a life insurance policy?
But you can Forrest Gump through your life and ignore all that and feel completely safe.
Yeah, and that's back to the bubble.
And that's back to the bubble
but
and your perception.
You got to realize your bubble's got straws in it. And that's your data going out.
Okay. It's not about you've got to realize.
Okay, you don't got to realize that.
Part of the thing about safety is perception.
Okay, so
if you ignore it, yeah, you're safe. But
are you actually safe?
Okay. No. You're not. And I'll give you a good example.
Okay.
There's a group out there that looked at the murder rates in the United States.
Okay.
Who do you suppose has the highest murder rate in the United States, state-wise?
Oh, which state has the highest murder rate? Florida.
Good guess. Anyone else?
Nevada.
Why Nevada?
Gambling and drinking.
Gambling and drinking. Well, it's a solid guess, but no.
No. Maryland.
No. You are purposely guessing opposite of what is common.
With Maryland? Oh yeah, totally pull it out of here.
Yeah, you're guessing to be contrary.
With that guess or just general?
Those couple guesses. So what?
No, I don't know. Honestly, Florida and Nevada are viable guesses.
Yeah, but what have we heard?
Maryland has Washington D.C. in it.
What have you heard for the last 3-4 years that are being pitched as dangerous cities?
Like Chicago?
Here's Chicago, correct. You hear Seattle, Portland, L.A. You hear New York. You hear these West Coast Democratic-led areas.
Okay.
As dangerous. 8 out of 10 are controlled by Republicans, have the highest death rates. Highest murder rates.
Okay. So that's one of those
stone cold facts.
No, I got that.
But the perception, what is being sent out in like the media and the talking points and the memes is that the Democrats don't have it handled in law and order. We saw this with the Judge Jackson They were talking about her being soft on crime.
Right.
The senators that were sitting there raking her through as saying, is she soft on crime?
Mm-hmm.
They're ones with states with high murder rates.
There you go.
I don't know. Murder can kill you. That's pretty dangerous.
Pretty dangerous stuff. Yeah.
Another good example of that is with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at who voted for Trump versus who voted for Biden,
mm-hmm.
Strangely, when you see the breakouts in counties, you see a high predominance of death rates in the Trump counties.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they're also unvaccinated,
mm-hmm.
largely.
Mm-hmm. That's why the lowest death rate the highest vaccination rate in Washington State is King County, and they have the highest population, but I think by percentage their death rate's lower. Yeah,
their death rate's lower despite being more compressed.
Right.
The area that Susie and I kind of trooped through from Okanagan to Yakima,
mm-hmm.
Almost over to Spokane, takes up about the size of New Jersey and Massachusetts put together.
Yeah, it's a big chunk of space.
We're in a massive chunk of space. And it was one of those things, it's like, yeah, just Douglas and Chelan County is the size of Connecticut.
Yeah. People from the East Coast do not understand how broad we are, and
mm-hmm.
from people in the West Coast don't understand how tight they are.
Yeah.
You could drive through several states in one day.
Yeah.
And so it's still kind of hard for me to wrap my head around that.
Yeah, and it's like I said, that's one of the things of perception, because I'm dealing with, for instance, one of the things I've been dealing with this week was a contract extension. And I started looking at it, it's like those rates were set in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to extend me another 3 years and put in these extra things. And I said it was low when we renewed last year.
Mm-hmm. And they want us to be doing more over these next 3 years. But they're not going to give us a raise to back it up. Correct.
And that's one of those things. It's like, you guys are underfunding. If you really want me to hit it out of the park, you need more funds.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's part of the deal with this. It's a negotiation. It's a challenge, mm-hmm. back and forth, which
it's a perception thing.
Well, here's the thing. That is the budget makers are expecting those who they're pitching to stay within their bubble. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, this will be fine. We don't need to. This is a lot of money. We don't need more, because they don't expect you those who are applying for this
mm-hmm.
this grant to expand further out.
And
whereas we are going to expand further out with or without them.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice to have it with them, because it would make it easier on our personal budget.
Because mm-hmm. it becomes, I pointed this out because it's like I was at the Spring Symposium,
mm-hmm.
which is the top producers for this particular insurance company.
Yep.
And I got to hear the speech that, okay, we shrunk last year. How can we improve? And I had to blink a couple times, because it's like, I grew with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So that means your top producers, the other people, my peers that are sitting in this room, did not grow like I did. Okay, things just got interesting for me. That means I'm ahead of everyone else,
mm-hmm.
and I'm continuing to gain ground.
Well, there are extenuating circumstances
mm-hmm.
on their situation. They have a different level of competition.
They've got a different level of look.
Yes, their perception's different.
Mm-hmm.
Than ours. We've always strove, pushed
mm-hmm.
to be as ahead of the curve as we can be.
Mm-hmm.
We're always looking for not looking for the next big thing, but we're looking to make sure that we stay up to speed and ahead, which gives us an edge over our peers, because they have a tendency, sometimes they just sort of go, la, 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 la.
They sink into that comfort bubble.
They sink into their comfort bubble. Now, there's a point where sinking into a comfort bubble from a business standpoint
mm-hmm.
is perfectly fine. When you are setting up yourself to retire and maybe pass the business on to somebody
mm-hmm.
else, or eventually shutter it, then you can start shrinking down your push.
Yeah. And
that's perfectly fine. But don't But when you're doing that, do yourself a favor and expand your personal bubble and go do fun things because you're getting ready to retire. Go adventure somewhere. Go adventure with new people. Go do different things. Don't shrink every bubble in your existence down to the point where you're just sitting in your rocking chair, watching NASCAR all day.
Yeah, and yeah, we've all actually known a lot of people that have done that.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that it's hard to raise a family that way.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine not taking Nick to a place that does pork chop sandwiches in the middle of Montana.
See, that was awesome. See, that's one of the reasons why I want to take you guys to that tattoo museum in Coeur d'Alene this next week, because it's totally different.
Now, okay, so let's get to how do you enable people to get out of their rut?
That's a tough one, because that can be like pulling teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be really, really careful to not alienate those people.
Well,
so you need to enable them.
Yeah, and one of the first things is we saw someone that reached out last week and said, "Hey, I want to do this," and it was one of those awkward. I'm not quite sure how to do this, but I need this, so I'm going to ask.
Which is awesome and terrifying and brave.
And that was one that we said, okay, yeah, this is definitely a person that is ready to come out of that comfort bubble and work on something. So it's like we enabled them. We said, hey, I want a hoodie, and made sure that we're going to get a hoodie from her. But like I said, she was reaching out, and it was an awkward reach. And we wanted to reward that awkward reach good with a reward.
So we enabled them by purchasing the products that she was selling.
Yeah, and so there's a certain level of recognizing that hey, they're ready to come out.
Yes.
And B, enabling them with a safe way to come out.
Yes.
Now, my person who did the hey, I'm sorry I haven't reached out because of COVID and the concern of COVID. I did the hey, not a problem. When you're ready to come out, come out. We've got we've been collecting a list of places that are maintain a friendly state. We've actually got quite a few businesses in our town that were really on top of procedures.
Exactly.
They're masks. They were vaccinated. And it's like, yeah, I can definitely show someone's like, here,
go do this and do that.
Yeah, let's go do this, let's go do that. It's like, yeah, hang out with these people because we know that they're vaccinated because they are concerned about people around them.
Exactly.
So it's that exchange of safety.
Yes.
They were safe. We're safe. We can get together. And that's really difficult in our area because we had a large group that decided that it wasn't about we're being safe. It was about let's spread this false information about safety. And that's a very dangerous way because what that does is it creates an unsafe bubble.
It does.
And another good example for this unsafe bubble is guns, firearms. There is a percentage, smaller percentage of people who believe that, hey, with a firearm, I'm safe.
No, with a firearm, you're just armed.
But that is a perception.
Yeah, I know.
Because I've had someone that did the this is where I hold my firearm. It's like, awesome, you told me where you hold your firearm. If you ever reach for that, I'm going to drop you.
Yeah.
I didn't tell him that because that's the way I'm trained.
Yes. It's a concealed weapon for a reason.
Yeah, I don't want to know about your concealed weapon. I don't want to know about your sloppy behavior. I don't want to know because I'm trained when things happen to act.
And he will.
And that's what
we don't want him to have to because it's that's a bubble breaker.
That's a bubble breaker.
And that's probably what we about.
But that is one of those things that because I hear this whole false narrative over firearms.
Yeah.
That hey, because I have a pistol with this auto sear that can empty this 20 round clip, I'm safe.
No,
you're not.
No, that is a whole nother podcast, though.
So yeah, it's one of those things. If you start, reaching out, to other people that are operating in a safe, responsible manner, see the world, explore the world, expand. It's like, yeah, let's try, to this new restaurant. Let's go out and try to, interact with some safe people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, COVID's still out there. If you have to wear a mask, wear a mask.
Mm-hmm. Wash your hands.
Absolutely. Wash your hands. One of the things that we had to deal with as a family was the mask came off. Was it last week or the week before?
21st, about 10 days ago.
Yeah, 10 days ago. So, of course, our son gets sick.
He's got a cold.
And it's because the first part of every year, all the kids get colds.
Because
back to school cruds.
And he got the back to school crud late. And he's not the only one who's got the back to school crud.
So, yeah, it's one of those things that you have to happen when you go out. Is it the end of the world? No. It's one of those things that are, and yeah, we had to be reminded that, we shouldn't, we can't really press like we had to press when we were kids. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of our comfort bubble that we have to go overcome.
And we actually know now what we're going to do when this happens again. Mm-hmm. We have a better plan for the future because we tweaked our bubble this time.
Yeah, because
this was not a perfect process, not by any stretch of the imagination. Mm-hmm. We had some stumbles with this whole situation. Mm-hmm. But because of it, we learned, and we're moving forward in a more positive manner.
Yeah, and that's one of those important things is we wouldn't have learned if we didn't do anything different.
Exactly.
And yeah, you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's okay.
The goal is to not have the mistakes be so critical you can't recover from it.
Yeah. The question is, did you die?
Did you die? And here's the thing. Even if you died, as I've stated before, this is not a full coverage year. This is an everything coverage year.
There you go.
So, hey, have a great day.
Yes.
Try something new this next week.
Yes, tomorrow is April Fool's Day, so try something new.
And have a little bit of fun and smiles and...
Because people can see your face now.
People can see your face. If not, hey, you can FaceTime us. We will make faces at each other over the internet.
That's true. You're always welcome to contact us.
All right, so bye. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.